All 40+ social problems that presently beset our communities are the consequence of mankind's rejection of a path laid out in Scripture. The intensity of these social problems is a direct correlate of our distance from the path laid out by God. In Scripture are answers to every social problem known to man. We will address the issue of unemployment here. Unemployment has no redeeming feature. It exists because of inflation. Then economists posit poverty as a way to reduce the rate at which our currency loses value. No one honestly addresses what inflation is. The solution to every social problem is the church. The church is started by as few as 3 persons who come to faith. In the context of a local community, the body of believers is called a dominion. Dominionization is a process that leads to those who have faith no longer viewing other believers as a threat. If the church solves all social problems by bringing people to faith by means of dominionization, every social problem is indirectly the result of people losing faith. Property ownership represents risk. The more property we have, the more risk we are exposed to. The ownership of property is a symbol of the faith we have lost and the threat others represent to us. This is why we are told to divest ourselves of property. As a practical matter, we ought to understand this command refers to commercial property. Divestment is by means of dominions or chapters of the church. The first step is to donate all surplus and commercial property to a dominion set up by a local congregation. But it is not ownership that is the specific problem. This is why personal property is not the problem that commercial property is. The problem is the regulatory environment capital is subject to. In a broader context, the true source of risk is our exposure to the regulatory environment of the state, meaning its law. Dominions record the donation as a credit to its ledger. The deposit is matched by a debit to its preferred shares account. The preferred shares are transferred to the account of the depositor as prefers. Prefers is a contraction of preferred shares, designated by the symbol, when used as a currency. What happens is physical property is transformed by the church into equity issued by the church. This is referred to as an asset for equity swap. Goods and services are bought and sold using prefers as an alternative currency. Units of fiat currency are used to buy bonds issued by the church. This cash is used by the church to pay bills issued by the state or its agents. To understand how dominions eliminates unemployment, imagine an island as a dominion or local church. In a dominion, all land and assets are owned by the church as a trust. Everyone works for the dominion and purchases goods and services from the dominion-owned businesses. If the church needs a road or school or other infrastructure, it has them built by members who are paid with a deposit of prefers. A road or school is just property owned by the dominion transferred to a particular project by members who are paid in shares representing the value they add to the dominion by means of their work. This process is referred to as the labor theory of value. Because the dominion owns the assets, the value added by labor equals the price of the goods or services produced. If lumber is needed, people are paid to cut down trees and saw lumber. They are paid for the work they do. The trees and the lumber belong to the dominion. Because the island always needs things, there are always things for dominionists to do. Thus there is full employment in the dominion, and indeed, a dominion never has less than full employment. If the church does not need as much lumber as before, some people who used to make lumber are put to work planting trees, or building fences, or cleaning rivers. The point is, the jobs that need doing are infinite. There is always work to be done regardless how many people are in a dominion. Because people are paid based on the value added to the assets of the dominion, there are always equity available to pay for the value created by labor. While this short description does not address the issue of administration of various businesses, enough has been written to see the church is able to eliminate unemployment and with it, poverty and inequality, because everyone in the dominion is paid the same living wage.